Zaraz, bo tu dimy wszyscy. Okay.
Okay, dobre.
Are we live?
Yeah.
Dobry dzień wszyscy. Hi everybody from the asphalts of the East Village. We're here at the Razum Lounge, and for the next few minutes we're gonna have a conversation with Verlana Tkach and her team to find out about their newest production. So, Verlana,
yes.
Thank you for joining us here at the lounge.
So glad to be here.
Let's start with the basics, and then I want to go back in history. So with the basics, what is your current production?
Our current production is 2017, Tychyna, Zhadan, and the Dogs. And it's poetry by Tychyna about 1917 and what people do when society falls apart. And then it's poetry by Zhadan, 2017, and that he sings with his band, the Dogs.
Okay. And you'll be performing it in June at La Mama.
Right. And it's in English. The Tychyna's in English and the Zhadan's in Ukrainian.
Oh, wow. Who did the Tychyna translation?
I did.
Wow. Okay. So I'm going to bring in my colleague Tychyna Jula, who studied more Tychyna than I have.
Okay.
Tell us a little bit about who Tychyna was and why is he relevant today?
Well, he, I think, is one of the greatest poets in Ukraine in the 20th century. And his early work, and this is his third collection, he was like immediately recognized as a great poet. And then he lived through 12 changes in government in 3 years in Kiev, which is
12 changes in government in 3 years. Okay,
From
and we're in 1917.
You know, the Tsarist Empire falls apart. Everybody's like really happy. Ukrainian Tychyna Rada starts.
Right.
It all looks like anything can happen. And then the Bolsheviks invade, and there's like a terrorist, but they only last for 3 weeks. And then come the Germans, and then come Hetman, and then comes Denikin, and then comes the Bolsheviks again, and then comes the Directory, and then comes the Bolsheviks again. And it is chaos.
So that makes the last, I dare say, that makes the last 3 years in Ukraine seem positively calm.
Yeah and no, but it's like the same kind of stuff, you know, which is, you know, this kind of festering war in the background constantly. And changes in government. So it's like not only, but it's also about tyranny. And how does tyranny happen? When finally everybody has it with the chaos. And they're willing to sort of surrender because the chaos is overwhelming.
So you're talking now, and it's a poet in Ukraine, and it's about two poets in Ukraine. And I'm listening to you as an American, and I'm like, wow, this kind of sounds like it has some relevance to the United States today.
It does. And we have now, for the New York production, developed like a installation that Bob Holman is doing, and we've taken Timothy Snyder's On Tyranny, and we've written poetry about it.
Wow. Have you shared it with Timothy Snyder yet?
Yeah, he encouraged us to do it.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well,
so, I mean, he hasn't seen the final stuff yet, but yeah.
So is that installation like?
It's going to be it's going to be a live installation. Bob Holman's going to be performing his own poetry, and also one of the women from Ukraine will be reading Tychyna and Zhadan in Ukrainian because the rest of it's in English. So.
But this is part of the actual production of the show. So Tanya and I were talking earlier today about getting together and discussing the book On Tyranny, Snyder's. So maybe we need to somehow tie that into also seeing your production.
That would be really cool.
Beforehand.
So we could do it like a talk back with the audience with you guys. And
that would be cool.
Wouldn't that be great? Yeah. For inspiration for some of the poems in the introduction.
So maybe we pick a performance that we're all at, and we can
do a
discussion.
Do a discussion before or after, or
probably after.
After,
right?
Yeah.
Or maybe before. I could see it going either way, but yeah, that would be really interesting because. So I've recently read On Tyranny, and there's so much that and I've been saying this, there's so much that my friends in Ukraine have been talking about, struggling with, and figuring out for the past several years, that I'm now hearing the same conversations with my friends who are who are just living in America.
Right, and that's kind of exactly what is happening in the poems also. If you read, instead of sonnets or octaves, it's about but it's almost the lessons we have to learn from to get to that place.
Right. And
because in those poems, everybody, it's devastating what happens by the end.
So this is like a cautionary tale of if you don't act now, here's one possible place you can wind up.
Wind up in, and that's why we've now put a coda on it with Zhadan, which is what can happen. Well, it's like a positive sort of way to deal with
what to do. Now you've already done this production in Ukraine.
Yeah.
How did that go?
Well, we did it a year ago the first time, and we ended with a Tychyna, and it was like dark.
Okay.
And we decided we were invited for, people loved it, but thought, whoa, that's a
People
dark
kind of walked out pretty.
So I decided I really wanted to do a coda on it, and we asked Zhadan, and because he always was involved in the show. He interrupts the Tychyna stuff three times with songs with the band. We're bringing the entire Zhadan and the dogs.
The dogs are huge. Like how many dogs are we talking? 9.
Yeah.
9 people.
Yeah.
Wow.
And we also brought one actor from Ukraine.
Hi.
It's Robert Feldman.
Robert.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So you acted in the production in Ukraine?
Yeah, in the original one. I was very lucky. I don't even know why Verlana took me in, That's still a mystery to me.
Verlana's got a great track record of finding really talented people. So what was your reaction when she approached you and said, hey, I've got this thing about Tychyna and Zhadan? Did you go and Google Tychyna, or was he a known quantity for you?
Not to such extent as he is now, and it has changed for my family as well, my friends. I mean, like everybody I meet and who come to see the production, their view completely changes.
So where did you...
And I think Kurpas becomes a big part of it as well, even though...
So let me just get some anchor points down. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Dnipro, and after that I moved to London for 5 years, and then I came back.
Okay. I'm asking in terms of where would you have been exposed to Tychyna? So how old are you?
25.
25. So Tanya also grew up in Ukraine. Where'd you grow up?
In Western Ukraine.
In Ternopil? No.
In Ternopil.
In Ternopil. I should have gone with that. And did you study Tychyna in school?
Did. Yeah,
a lot. And you also studied literature with some.
Yeah.
Okay. So
we were the first class that did not. We were the first generation that did not study Russian. We didn't have Russian in school. So
you didn't study.
It was the first independent generation.
You gotta speak louder.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'm done.
Because we're on the street. All right. So you guys have some overlap. I'm just curious as to how you're exposed to Tychyna and how your perception of him changed since working with him.
I think I was exposed less, and Dnipro is still a very kind of Russian-speaking city. And his latest stuff, we were more exposed to that.
Okay.
So
do you remember what you knew about him, like the bumper sticker?
Yeah.
The bumper sticker was he wrote poetry, right?
Yeah, and usually what people remember, right, is tractor der.
I know that one.
Soviet.
And what else?
Soviet kind of, because he was working.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
So now that you've delved into the production, and you play Tychyna, right?
I don't.
Everybody is.
Everybody is
characters,
but
it's all in his head, kind of ensemble. This is one of his most experimental, wonderful pieces, which is, he's hearing voices of Kiev, of the people on the block, and And yeah, it's really like Joycean almost.
Wow.
It's really amazing. And we've sort of created these characters from the voices we thought we heard in the poem.
And Zhadan adds a lot to it because it becomes a dialogue between generations.
And centuries, really.
Centuries, yeah.
So Zhadan is sort of answering Tychyna and like that?
Well,
Or
actually,
no?
they are sort of propelling the piece forward and eventually answering.
Should I go and read some Tychyna before seeing the show?
Well,
Or-
we're only using 12 poems that make up the third collection, which is called, instead of sonnets or octaves, Zami Sonnet Ursal, which almost nobody knows. Because it's a collection that was published in 1920, and Tychyna never even mentioned it afterwards because he was so criticized immediately for it by the Bolsheviks.
So it would have been a severely career-limiting move if he had promoted that
Right.
piece.
From what I remember, he was actually trying to destroy it so
Right,
nobody
it
would
was like
know about it.
kind of hide it almost.
Squelching it
Yeah,
himself.
yeah. Like after it came out, you know, and then and he never mentioned it again in anything he ever writes. Nobody ever does.
How did you find it?
Well, actually, my grandfather used to read it to me when I was a kid because
In
it came
Jersey.
out came out in Western Ukraine. Zolotis, there was a collection that came out with the first 3 collections.
Okay.
And so that was the third collection. And in 1987, when they put out almost the complete works of Tychyna, parts of this are still censored.
So in 1987, it wasn't fully published then.
It was published fully only in the collections after 92. And who's publishing Tychyna these days? Nobody.
I was going to say, who's publishing Tychyna these days?
Yeah.
Can I get my hands on it somewhere?
Yeah. Yes, it's in some of the newer editions, but not the full collection usually, and it's only 12 poems long.
Will you be issuing it?
Yeah, we're
and the
thinking
translations?
of. Yeah, that's what we're thinking of doing. Or we're probably just going to do the translations, like put out a little booklet like we did of the Shevchenko translations we did.
At the performances?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So should I read them beforehand? Or should I?
Yeah, you can, and
Yeah?
I can put them up also maybe on my webpage.
That'd be great. Which is?
www.brahma.com/Yara. But if you
Awesome.
Google Yara Arts Group,
We'll find
There
it.
it is.
Okay, and we'll post it. We can post it too on
Yeah,
our
yeah.
pages. So I'm hearing this is a set of poems that had been squelched by the poet himself, have been found, and you've been working on them for over a year now.
yeah.
Together.
Well, not constantly. I mean,
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
we
it's
did
been
like
maturing
in
through
March
change.
we did a show, and then we did a show in September, and then this March again.
So you said, coming back, you said that your perception of Tychyna has changed through this, as has for your family members.
Yeah,
Can you talk a little bit more about that? Your family's in Dnipro?
yeah, they are.
Okay.
They came to see the latest one we did at Mala Opera in Kiev. They were really surprised. Well, they paid a lot of attention to the religious part of the piece, when it's the way we do it. I think we open up like a more, I don't know, it's kind of in a more
Secular
modern
way.
art way, in a way. I'm not sure if that makes any sense. It does when you see it.
Okay.
And I remember we were having an interview back in Ukraine, and Verlana said that it's very hard to say, like, to sum up in one line what's the message. People have to come and see
And
what the message
experience
is.
it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you would encourage people to come and experience it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because
What-
I think it might have some answers to how not to repeat some mistakes.
Have you performed in the United States before?
No, it's my first time.
Okay, so what are your expectations
I love
for the
it.
audience? Oh, but for the audience, how do you think the audience is going to react to the piece?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure because when I saw the translation on the page, I wasn't sure. But when I heard it off the page, it's a completely different thing. So to me, I thought that would be like I don't know, almost impossible to translate, but somehow it works. And the big part of it is Julian Kitasti, who is actually here, and I want him to join.
Hey, will you come join us? Maybe you'll play something? Absolutely. Oh, Zhadan, I don't know. I didn't even know if we're recording. Oh, okay. All right, just checking. So, Julian Kitasti, who's in the show and helped produce it, can you say a few words?
I love an introduction like that. Okay, I don't think I'm. Oh, here I am. Okay.
Well, give a real introduction.
Well, okay.
This is going to be your introduction.
How's that?
I love that introduction. Can you? Hey, hi, Sishko. Do you know Sishko?
Yeah. Sure.
Come on over. He'll be doing his piece tomorrow.
Okay, cool.
So, tell us a bit. Oh, you got to come into the cadre. There you are. Hey, come back tomorrow to see Sishko's animation. You have been developing this whole piece together as part of the whole company, right? Am I using the right words?
Right.
And I imagine Tychyna was not completely new to you.
Well, yes and no. You know, I mean, I was aware of him. I'd read a few pieces.
Okay.
But I hadn't worked with it very much before. We did a few of his pieces earlier with Yara Arts
So you've
Group.
been exposed.
Yeah.
So you've got Tychyna, and then you're a top of the game bandurist, scholar, and performer, collaborating with a post-proletarian punk group of Zhadan and the Dogs. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because bandura and post-proletarian punk is not something I would always put together.
They go really well.
They go really well.
Yeah, they do.
Well,
They
it's
do.
like Tychyna and Zhadan. You wouldn't think it, but actually we figured out ways to make it work. I don't try to play over them.
That would be a heck of an amp. You'd need a heck of an amp. Okay.
I figured that out at the first rehearsal, but I don't need to. My role in the show is to work primarily with the Tychyna text and the actors,
Okay.
and to help connect it all, and connect it not just with Zhadan and all the stuff that and the band, but to connect it on the kind of on the time scale a little bit, to connect the two periods a century apart, and also to connect it to the deeper past. Tychyna dedicated the poetry dedicated Zamyslnetivi Octave to Grigory Skovoroda. And it's very much a part of the poetry. The depth, the depth of the culture from which Tychyna is drawing.
You're really making me want to see the show, so I want to go see it. Tell us the story of that first rehearsal of you with Zhadan and the Dogs. What did that look like? You were in Ukraine?
Yeah.
Well,
You wanna?
well, you can tell your version.
Right.
My version is this. Well, we had this idea, which is we're going to do the Tychyna poems in 3 parts, and then the wall opens, and there's Zhadan and the Dogs.
Okay.
Right?
That's perfect. So really, I mean, my musically, in terms of actually playing into what they're doing, I need to start making a little bit of noise to cover the wall moving, and then they've got it. Then I don't have to do anything else. Then I just pick up their rhythm from the end of the song, and before they're done, I'm already doing this. I mean, maybe people watch my finger moving or something, but it's dark anyway, so they don't. So I just pick up their rhythm and I play, and after a while the echoes fade away from what they've been doing, and the walls close, and there's this beautiful this
And the
beautiful
actors are in a
projection.
whole different place because of everything.
Almost cosmic kind of projection on it, and very slowly this is spoiler alert. And
But how did you work that out? How did you decide to do it that way?
Well, that's actually the original idea I had for the show.
Okay.
And it was a very formal idea. I thought, I want to do a show where the wall opens up and there's another world.
Okay.
Yeah. And so when I thought, well, the wall opens up and there's Tychyna's poetry. What's in front? And I thought, no, I want to work with Zhadan. It's the other way around. So it came from that idea, but then, so we worked on the Tychyna poems, and I told them, in 3 places. This is like totally like a formal idea, And then we started finding what places
It makes sense to.
and then what it does. And the first time they came and played with us was like during the first workshop. We were going to perform in like 2 days,
And where was it?
This was in Kiev in the Kurbas Theater, which really was wonderful. The Kiev Kurbas Center let us develop this piece.
Wow.
So we worked there, and it's a tiny performance space, it's like 50, 60 people, and the first people to see it was actually Zhadan and the dogs. I said, because
Right.
they came and they said, I said, well, we're going to do the first part, and since you're never going to see the show again because you're always behind the wall, why don't you sit in the audience and watch it? And I'll tell you when you guys will start. We'll take a minute so you guys, they said, we had a sound check, everything, and, they were ready to go. And they sat, and I said, okay, now you guys perform, and nobody moved. And I said, okay, wait a minute, it's you guys perform.
It's your turn now.
Go. And it's like still nobody moved. And I was like, what's up? And I said it again. They said, this is theater. This is amazing.
Heads exploding.
And I thought,
this is Yara.
This is
This is
not
Yara.
bad.
Okay. That's awesome. That is awesome.
Said if we could go to this more often, we would.
All right.
I mean, I was like totally amazed because we didn't know how they'd react to it.
Great. And then they finally got up and
Yeah, they
started
got up
going.
and did this thing, and then we thought, oh, we really got to do this to this,
And
like.
then you changed the.
Yeah, it
pacing
all
and so
became
forth.
changed also because of what they did.
Tell me when you're on at La Mama.
We're
what
on
day?
June 9th through 25. We perform 11 times. It's like every weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Okay.
We start on a Friday, though,
Okay.
And it's at 8:30 at night, but it's a short show. It's like an hour show. There's
Okay.
like probably about a 15-minute installation at the top with
Okay.
the On Tyranny stuff
Okay.
and with Bob Holman, and we're just
Uh-huh.
beginning to develop that.
Okay.
So.
And then they'll go into the show, so
Yeah.
around 15 hour and a half ish.
Mhm.
Okay. And where do we buy tickets?
You get tickets at lamama.org/Tychyna, Tychyna. And
Okay.
they sell the first little bunch of tickets, and I don't know how many exactly they've put aside, for $10. So you got to get tickets now for cheap. And the rest of the time you get them for,
So there's $10 rush tickets.
well, it's not rush, it usually
Right.
means right before the show. But this is like
Now.
if you get them now,
Oh, early bird.
early bird
Okay.
special.
Early bird, $10.
Yeah. So-
lamama.org/Tychyna. Okay, we'll be spreading that word.
yeah, definitely.
We'll find a time to go and have a discussion group. Would you be willing to play something for us now to kind of take us out? for
Why
it?
don't I just kind of move? and
Oh, yeah.
switch? But
Yeah.
Are you okay sitting on
I'm
my
you more comfortable there?
I'm here. Yeah.
Give us a little.
All right. Sure. Here's
Putting
a
you on the
little-
spot, but I basically just want to hear your music because I love hearing it. So
Okay. Here's a little preview.
okay.
Yeah, and we have photos from our show with one of the Zhadan songs in it on our website, brahma.com/Yara, right on the front page. We also have our designer here.
Oh,
Valdemar Krushko.
oh, designer.
Yeah, why don't I get
Designer
up
guy.
and I'll help
You want to switch places? Сідай. Сідай.
Я тут до чого?
Сідай. Просто так поговоримо. Окей, designer guy. Перейдемо на українську.
Давай,
Чи хочеш англійською?
давай українською.
Okay. So, слухай. Maybe I'll have
Ти зі
we'll
мною
do it in
говориш?
English. Should we speak in English? We should speak in English. This is not your first Yara show that you've done the design for. Tell me a little bit about what your thought process was to create this environment.
Я тобі скажу, що багато речей, які є в виставі, це оригінали, які написав сам Tychyna. Його рукописи.
Фотографії його рукописів?
Його рукописи, так. Ми їх збільшили і використовуємо як підписи до речей, які
Вау!
читаються.
То я можу також в тебе запитатися. Де ти виріс? В якому
Києві.
місті? В Києві.
Києві.
І вчив Tychyну? Як ти був в школі?
Ну, всі вчили, читали Шевченка, Tychyну.
То як
та й-
Вірляна прийшла до тебе і сказала: гей, слухай, робимо щось про Tychyну, Zhadan. Що була перша думка?
Нічого.
Окей, що була третя думка?
Не було. Ні, ми взяли той текст, який Вірляна захотіла використати в виставі,
Ага.
і пошукали оригінали в бібліотеках і архівах
Ага.
рукописів. Тому те, що ми знайшли, якраз використали в виставі.
А було щось такого, що несподіваного, що ти дізнався в процесі того, як складав це все? Чи
Несподівано, тому все несподівано.
треба так, з тобою треба запитатися, чи було щось, що ти сподівався?
Що ми знайдемо щось, то що я чекав. Ні, я не чекав.
Тепер ти в Нью-Йорку робити репетиції цього всього, так?
Так. Приїде Сергій, приїдуть дикі звірі, собаки,
Ага.
і актори будуть читати
А
Tychyну.
до того в тебе вже буде скінчене всі речі, чи how do you work? Маєш, you've got,
Ми маємо-
підписи
ми-
маєш.
Ми маємо варіант, який був в Києві, і ми доробимо те, що буде важливо в Нью-Йорку.
А чи ви звертаєтеся до Тімоті Снайдер на рукопис його On Tyranny? Бо
Це
ви
в
додали,
процесі, це в
ви
процесі.
додали, right? Не
Це
треба
секрет,
рукопис,
це секрет.
Рукопис Тімоті Снайдер. Якщо є рукопис...
То секрет,
Окей, ну,
то
а
секрет.
Я просто сама, Oh, you got time. Окей. І що ще? З того всього, як складаєш, то будете... Ви то вже зробили в Києві, і
І
як...
адаптуємо до нью-йоркської сцени і до театру, який він трохи
Окей.
більший, і використаємо те, що ми вигадаємо на репетиціях.
Окей. А як твої друзі і колеги в Києві відреагували на вашій виставі, як ви то робили в Києві?
Ну їм було цікаво, воно трошки відрізняється від звичайного театру і дуже відрізняється від звичайного концерту. Це така
Окей.
робота, яка включає і музику, рок, і поезію.
Слухай, то мені тепер треба, чим можна прискорити час, бо я тепер після того всього хочу бачити навіть швидше вашу виставу.
Треба
То мені
лягти
треба
спати
чекати,
сьогодні і прокинутись 9-го.
9-го і поїхати на концерт. Окей, дякую дуже. Дякую всім. Дякую Богдан, котрий зараз загасить рекординг. Дякую, булаву. То булава. То булава.
Це майже рошен.
То булава.